breaking news. Giannis Antetokounmpo tweeting that there's no place like home. He is going to stay in Milwaukee, signing a 5-year, $228 million supermax extension. He tweeted, "This is my home. This is my city. I'm blessed to be able to be a part of the Milwaukee Bucks for the next 5 years. Let's make these years count. The show goes on. Let's get it." He becomes just the third $200 million contract in NBA history. Steph with the Warriors, Russell Westbrook with the Thunder, and now Giannis, $228.2. That is important, $0.2 million.
Is it?
Well, it is. Once you get into like all the extra taxes and stuff that you have to pay.
Yes. Right. I don't know. When you look at those numbers, it's just hard as like a regular person to imagine that there would be any hesitation ever signing.
It's true.
But aren't you happy with the folks in Milwaukee?
Oh, yes.
I mean, I'm so happy for them, for that market, to have a player of that caliber. And now let's hope that it finally is going to translate into postseason success from the regular season that he as an individual and they've had as a team into some postseason success and a championship eventually.
Yeah, we have Malika Andrews, Adrian Wojnarowski. They're going to join us with much more on Giannis staying in Milwaukee as we get into our look at our top stories and half-hour headlines.
Yeah, I mean, how about last night's game? It was absolutely epic. I hope everybody stayed up to watch it. It was crazy. Lamar Jackson forced to exit the game because of cramps. Then Cleveland comes back from 14 down. They take the lead. Then Jackson comes back with 2 minutes left. It's a 4th and 5, and he tosses a 44-yard touchdown pass to Hollywood Brown. And then back to the Browns come again. They score. They tie the game. And then your reigning MVP leads Baltimore down the field, just over a minute remaining, sets up a game-winning field goal by Justin Tucker, who is the absolute best. What a game. Absolutely crazy. And with the win, the Ravens now have an 86% chance to make the playoffs. That is despite the fact that they are right now just outside. They're 8th in the AFC, that first team outside the playoff field. But the reason that their playoff percentages are so high when you look at their schedule, because they close with the Jaguars, the Giants, the Bengals. They're combined 8-30-1 this season, and Baltimore has at least a 77% chance to win each of those games.
Hannah, it was in a losing effort, but Baker Mayfield balled out last night. He had a season-high 343 passing yards. He ran or passed for a touchdown in the Browns' final 3 drives, including that 22-yard touchdown to Kareem Hunt that tied the game. He shook off an interception. He fought to the end. He impressed the critics, even while falling a bit short. Despite that loss, the Browns remain atop the AFC wildcard standings with a head-to-head win over the other 9-4 team, the Colts. They're 2 games back of the division-leading Steelers with 3 games left. The Chiefs currently hold the coveted top spot. Remember, only 1 bye given out this year.
Well, NBA preseason, Zion already in form, 26 points, 11 rebounds. The Pels beat the Heat by 22. He did not hit either of those numbers in a game last season, and Brandon Ingram added 22. Can't wait to see what Zion does this year without a minute's restriction. Other 2 MVP favorites squaring off, the aforementioned Giannis, now an extremely rich man, and Luka Doncic. So Antetokounmpo, 24 points, 14 rebounds. Doncic, 27 points, 8 boards. Again, Giannis signing that long-term max deal. More on that coming up. And LaMelo Ball, 12 points and 20 minutes off the bench in the Hornets' loss to the Raptors. It's the first points of the NBA ever for the 3rd pick in the draft. Meanwhile, after 6 negative COVID tests, James Harden did practice on Monday, and by all expectations, he will actually suit up and play tonight for the Rockets when they face the Spurs in their first preseason game. Now, first-year head coach Stephen Silas said that he had a, quote, good conversation with his star player before practice yesterday, but he said they have not discussed anything regarding Harden's trade requests. Instead, their talks have really centered on basketball strategy. Just a lot of X's and O's. But back to the big story, the breaking news about Giannis.
Yes, Giannis is staying in Milwaukee. It is our breaking news here on SportsCenter. Giannis Antetokounmpo tweeting moments ago that this is my home. This is my city. I'm blessed to be a part of the Milwaukee Bucks for the next 5 years. Giannis signing 5 years, $228 million supermax extension, deciding to stay with the Milwaukee Bucks. our NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, joining us now. Woj, tell us how this deal came about. Woj, can you hear me? All right, we are going to try and get Woj on the phone. And
okay. I mean, listen, it's great news. This is fantastic for Milwaukee. It's fantastic for Giannis. So big congratulations all around. I know that we have Malika Andrews on standby as well. But again, the goal here for Giannis and company is to have some postseason success that reflects
that would be nice.
Their regular season success. So we do have Malika. I think her phone is working. We're going to get back to Woj in just a moment. But Malika, from your perspective, what went into the thought process here for Giannis?
Well, Hannah, testing, 1, 2, 3, making sure you can hear me.
Yes.
What a big day.
I got you loud and clear.
Big day in Milwaukee. Look, I've been getting texts from people around the organization in the days leading up to this decision. What do you think he's going to do? This is a moment where people within the franchise, I imagine fans are rejoicing. This is something where Giannis has taken his time with his decision to sign this Supermax contract. We always knew that he was dedicated to and loved the city of Milwaukee. The question remained whether or not he felt that he could win there. And by signing this contract today, he has affirmed that the moves that Milwaukee made in this offseason, that general manager John Horst made, the commitment that he has to the city, all of that has driven him to put pen to paper. But this was not a decision that he made willy-nilly. We saw him carefully weigh the pros and cons of what's going on here. So at the end of the day, what Bucks fans should feel good about is this wasn't just a loyalty signature. This was a signature because he believes this franchise really has a shot at winning the NBA title in this window within his Supermax contract.
And can you just refresh us all after this very quick offseason and really, frankly, yet another postseason disappointment that didn't match the regular season expectations there in the bubble where you were covering basketball the entire time? What were some of the things that this franchise did to make this more of an attractive place for Giannis to chase a championship in the years to come?
Well, this was always an attractive place, Hannah, from an emotional standpoint. This is the team that drafted him. This is the team that validated that he was going to be able to have a home in the NBA, the team that gave him an avenue to be able to provide for his family. But in this specific offseason, really the headliner trade was getting Drew Holiday in Milwaukee. That meant shipping out Eric Bledsoe. That meant shipping out George Hill and a couple of picks. But what that did was upgrade them on both ends of the floor. They felt that they landed a really solid defender, another passing option, another option to set up people on the floor to take some focus off of Antetokounmpo. And then after that, they rounded out the roster with some depth, with a lot of minimum signings in their bench. They attempted to trade for Bogdanovic. That fell through. That left a question mark. And now Giannis has put an end to any questions that maybe folks had about whether or not he felt that these were the moves they needed to make.
We've seen other players take jumps out of smaller markets once they get a chance at that max deal, maybe go for something, more glitzy, maybe joining other superstars in an effort to finally win an NBA title. I know that you said that this was well beyond his emotional attachment to the city of Milwaukee, but nonetheless, this has been his home in the United States. Can you just speak to his relationship with Milwaukee and the fans there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is someone who, you hear stories coming out of Milwaukee where early in his career, Giannis is walking to the practice facility because he has sent every penny that he had back to Greece so his family can be taken care of before they moved to the United States. This was a guy who didn't fly first class, Adrian Wojnarowski reported, on his own until he signed not this deal, but the deal before that. And when he was walking to into the arena, Hannah, it was a couple that pulled over and offered to give him a ride because they recognized the then rookie for the Milwaukee Bucks. That is how this city has embraced him, and he has tried to do that right back by going to different events, by marching in the hiatus from March to this summer. He was marching in some of the racial justice movements that were happening there. He's someone who is invested in Milwaukee. He said at those rallies, at those marches, that he wanted to see Milwaukee turn into a place where he would like to raise his 10-month-old son, Liam. That is the relationship that this superstar has with this city.
And you mentioned his early years, Malika, when he really didn't take any appearances. He wasn't promoting himself. He was really looking inwards at really his basketball career and so focused on that for the first few years. It's so great to see him out in front of this great contract, speaking out, standing up for what he believes in, and now making his home for years to come in Milwaukee. Malika Andrews, thank you.
All right, Hannah, Malika, thank you so much. Coming up, SportsCenter continues. Much more on the breaking news.